So taking a look at this real quick, once I got your drawing here, my half of an idea did not survive the cold reality of what was here. So um, this is what this is where we're at. So looking at cabinets, if we were to try to make a cabinet, I had it 4 inches deep, which might not even be that even deep enough. So just taking like this section here, if you were to put 3 connection points, which is what I think YJ was talking about on the last signs, they wanted to see at least 3 connection points. So if you were to if you were to break this up into this section here, which is 84 by 84 on this, um, then that puts your mount points, this is evenly distributed here. This is at the halfway point of this. Then you get this. Now, I know understand that this has to go all the way back to the wall, 4-inch EFIS, I get it. So this was just for spitballing purposes, but you can see already how off it's going to be even when you get this pipe all the way to the back. So this is at 4-inch spacing now. So when you go to a cabinet, then trying to get this to close up, you've got almost an inch here, or a half-inch here. This is pushing 3/8 of an inch there, and if you were to just try to torque that down, assuming that the middle one will be where it meets, then you're going to have a lot of issues. And again, this is just this part, and that's not to get into the part here where I had the little cabinets and things like that. So there's no way for those cabinets to line up, and then you're going to be dealing with all of these seams all being wonky and stuff. So just going, looking and thinking, well, there's probably going to be Reveler around here, and so why not then just try to make it as simple as possible. If we have no time, then sticking Revelers on the back of either 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, probably just be 1/8 inch, and because we're working backwards with what we already have from YJ as far as engineering, then we'll be looking at something like this with like this 8-inch pipe. So it'll be 4-inch and 4 inches out, which would be 8 inches there. And then instead of doing the stud sticking out, which we don't have that luxury on this, then we just weld on 1/2-inch nuts, which just fit. So fabrication will have to line that up nice, but you can just do that. And then if they rechase that to make sure the threads are good, and then when they go to install it, make sure there's a bolt in it to protect it. So when they, or maybe we wrap them up or something, and then they do their EFIS, and then we'll come back in, and that way we're just going directly in with a bolt, and then we would just have to live with that on the face in various spots, depending on what YJ thinks will work. The issue is though, is you're going to need to have quite a large slot, because even in your best attempts to try to get these to line up, you're going to need a lot of room, because not only is it perfect here, but if it's a little crooked out in the field, if it's a little off or up or down, and this is just assuming left to right, which is where you're going to need the most play, is left to right as you go from the center out. The other issue is that from the center of the pattern out, each hole will have to be hand adjusted back to where it needs to be. So as you can see here, I just have it spitballing here. So if you take your flat projection, and then if you were to go take this pattern and then but put it 8 inches all the way back, your radiuses are so different. So you can see where from the flat pattern here, you would need to be, this much out compared to where you need to be with the flat pattern will be here, but your mounting pipe has to be this far over. And so that means that if we have our flat pattern here, we have to hand adjust each hole over to make sure that that's where it starts, and then hopefully your pad starts here, and then the pipe kind of comes at an angle, and then we have enough roval here that we can torque it down. And then that's also assuming that once you put this on, and this will sort of torque, because it's going to hit this one first and then make these be off a little bit, and then the farther out you go. So, but that gives this the best chance of sort of torquing to the conforms of it. And then I don't know exactly the rating of the Revler stuff, but it's out, you know, it's outdoor, and then we just put it to the back of it and distributed it around, and then it's just to the back of the metal. Um, and then we'll just have then and then the issue is dealing with these seams, so I would weld that to that and have a bolt here, and then we would have to just try to figure out, because these will all be on different planes. Once this is torqued down and this is torqued down, these are not going to meet. So either install takes little plates on the back of this. You know, again, it's very complicated. It's not easy. Like this guy here, it would be too big to attach to here. I mean, we could attach it here, but like I say, we're already at 84 by 84 here. I haven't even really taken the time to see how this will look. So if we do 45, 118, that just barely fits. So I don't think we might be able to add this to this, and then but we'd have a seam here, so we'd have to contend with. So this is less than ideal. I know everything we do is always less than ideal, but this is, you know, really difficult here. So but what I have here is just where we would put put the Toki product, and here shows if we use the 120 lens. So this would be its angle. So at 4 inches away, you have your cones there. So if you extrapolate this out to where it's actually touching the wall and go to a circle, this is where we're at. So we would have that glow. I mean, obviously it would be a lot more glow than that, but this is where the angle of the light shoots. And then so that would extrapolate to here, and you'd be covering the fronds and stuff. And then, you know, I imagine these guys here would probably cover this area okay if you get overlap from these guys. So anyway, so but this product would match that. It's just whether or not, if this is far enough in and nobody can get an eyesight to the edge, if they could see behind it, you know, from whatever angle they're coming at. So if you have eyesight angle, you could catch some light there. Again, trying to put a return on this will just cause it to bend, and it'll, you know, cause issues and blossom out as you try to cram it down. And then also, I don't know how that would change the you know, the glow from here to here. A slight return on this might work, maybe if we just torque it down and make it work on both sides, and then just have the product firing at the wall. And then that might hide these. So these could be without return, because you wouldn't be able to see the cabinet anyway. So these would look like just pieces of metal up there anyway. So possibly putting a little bit of return on here, and then just however it crumples and meets in the middle there is just how install. I guess we'll just have to deal with it as they torque this down. But that means that these outer pipes will have to be even longer to reach out to here. If we do some sort of thing where it has a return, but then also that puts the ring farther out than the actual logos. So, you know, if we have to put a 2-inch return on this to try to hide the glow, then does that mean that we just have this ring 2 inches higher than this surface, or we bring these out 2 inches more and everything's 6 inches off the wall? And this looks like it's 2 inches off. You know, this will be a 2-inch return with 4-inch, and we just make this 6-inch and get even more glow. And you know, and that's testing whether or not these look good firing directly at the wall. So, and if I believe they're rated to just be exposed out the back. So that's really the best I can do for this. It's really head scratcher. That's the best I got.